line out there. That's okay though, some people came. Can I start, Jim? Jim is videotaping these because he's going to put them up on the website, which is always is so calming when you're standing up here, because the thing blinks.
No pressure.
Anyhow, hello, welcome. I just want to introduce people. Reno Bafice is one of our assistant principals. Jackie Terrazas is one of our assistant principals. Jim Stafford back there is he's the responsible for the videos and the web page and the texting and all of that. You know, he's Mr. Communications. So all of those features that we have where we're able to communicate so quickly, he's responsible for all of them. We have some of our teachers here. Could we have teachers raise their hands? And we had some of the teachers, thank you. Did I forget any of my? Hey, she's right here. That is our data processor. She's the gal that you call, and she's our attendance. Okay, so, and she's also our translator, and she's wonderful.
Thank you.
Nice to be young. So, okay, the teachers are here because we may get into some subject-specific questions that you may have, and what I'm going to try and do is kind of run through the presentation, then take you to the Department of Education website, show you that, and then let you ask questions if you want. One of the problems that we've had with the Florida Standards Assessment is that there's been very little guidance from the state. We learned that, and they've been in the process of developing all of this as well. So the websites have been in the process of being built. We've gotten some information. We have, as we're going from FCAT to the Florida Standards Assessment, FSA, one of the things that's happened is, for example, we don't know what the cut scores are. Cut score is the score that, a series of numbers. So if you're this number, you're a year below grade level. If you're this number, you're on grade level. If you're this number, you're above grade level. Those are called cut scores, or a cutoff kind of point. What they're doing with these tests is they're establishing the cut scores after the test, and which is kind of frustrating for us. And the reason why they're doing that is I guess they're trying to sort of norm the test or try to figure out how kids do. And so really the way around that is it's like any other test, it's based on standards. So what do? You continue to teach the standards, and you continue to check for mastery. We've taken a fall diagnostic or winter diagnostic that we'll put out by the district, in addition to the regular teacher assessments, and then as I go through, I'll show you some of where we get the information that we are understanding, that we're supposed to be covering, how we get some of the test questions, and how we're prepping the kids. So that's pretty much what I want to go through tonight. Okay, so what they did was they combined language arts and writing into what is now called ELA, which is English Language Arts. And how we've always delivered that here is we've delivered reading as kind of a separate subject. So you'll find the reading teachers and the language arts teachers actually working very closely together again this year for that reason. And because you'll find that FSA is looking for so much informational text, then you have science and social studies coming in. And I want to mention also while I'm talking about this that science is only 5th grade and 8th grade. Science is still the FCAT. So science hasn't changed. It's still the FCAT, it's still the FCAT prep, it's still the same thing, and I think that's either till 2017 or 2018. There'll be a change on that. Civics, 7th grade still takes the EOC, the end of course exam. We have some of our 8th graders taking algebra with the EOC end of course exam, and then as it gets into the high school, it depends on what course you're supposed to be taking. So you might be taking algebra, you might be taking bio. Some of them have end of course exams, some of them don't. But just to concentrate on this right now, that's kind of a little bit of an overview. Okay, so what we're doing, just 8th, 9th, and 10th was supposed to start on Monday and Tuesday, but the state system crashed. So we started today and are finishing up tomorrow, and that's just the writing. So that's all that is. All the rest of the tests, which are the math, reading, language, the ELA, the math, the science, civics, all those don't start for another couple of weeks yet. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, some of the shifts in language arts, or some of the shifts in the language arts testing is how they're asking questions. So in reading, it's not you read a paragraph, you answer questions. There are a variety of different ways, and we'll go through that as well. The instructional changes are, we're paying more attention to the complexity of a test, of a text. So there's absolutely more non-fictional. And as we, again, go through, the reading and the writing instruction goes on in all the classes across the board as much as possible. You know, I mean, we'd like to write every day in math, but they also have to do a lot of the computational stuff and learn how to answer the math questions. So we try to fit in as much writing as we possibly can. Here's some of the different types of items that are going to be on the reading test, or the ELA, and I'm working on getting used to that myself. There are items that ask them to edit text. There are multiple choice, the standard multiple choice. There are items where they select more than one answer. There are some two-part items, and these are the items that a lot of the schools are finding very difficult. They ask two questions about a selection. Question 2 is based on the response to question 1. So you've got to get question 1 right. And I see the teachers kind of going, you know, and they practice and practice and practice and practice. And again, you know, we're basing this on what we have found from our information, the school district, what we're getting in terms of how we believe this is all going to be structured. And from the state's website, which when we go through it, it doesn't have a whole lot of information on it, but it's enough that, you know, you can develop other things. There are open response items, gridded items, and open response items again. That's there twice. Okay, so text-based writing, and if my reading teachers, I've got reading people here, reading and language arts, ELA, okay, want to jump in, please feel free. What they have them doing now is not so much, you know, you get a prompt and you write. They want them to read several passages and then from there extrapolate the answer. So it's not just open writing as much as it is you look at these several selections and then you have to draw on those selections. So the teaching there is you have to go back in the story. And I think one of the elementary teachers really kind of put it well last night. She said we teach them, find what matches. If you're looking at this stuff, because you have all different level readers. And you know, in some cases, if you're not reading on grade level and the passage is on grade level and now you have to write something, you're going to have kids that aren't on grade level that are going to struggle with it. So a lot of the strategies involve looking for keywords. What do you see? What can you bring to bear on this? So that's one of the types of responses that they're expected to be able to do and that we practice all the time. And again, as we get onto the state website, they now have on there tests that you can work on with your children. So you'll be able to go through that with them. Okay, text-based writing. Middles? Yeah.
Real quickly. Writing and ELA are two separate items on this list.
Because writing is the two tests that they're taking today, that's the writing.
Okay.
Now the ELA portion of the writing is text-based writing.
Okay.
So it's not, and then when they score it, there's not going to be like all the years there was your reading, how we did in reading, how we did in writing.
Right.
This year that's all one number. So what we'll get is that ELA number. Do you wanna speak to that a little bit? With the writing or the reading?
What part exactly?
How they're expecting them to do it differently.
Oh, well, the reading I thought was more like comprehension based.
Right.
So, they'll give them like a really long passage or an excerpt, and then they'll direct them with a series of questions. Whereas the writing, you can kind of see it up there. I teach my kids to formulate an opinion first, because in every one of them, they have to form a claim. And if you see, the wording is weird. They have like multiple questions. So the writing is more focused on, can you not only analyze one piece of literature, but they give them multiple sources to kind of digest, and that helps them to shape like a well-rounded, what's it called?
Response.
Response, thank you, yeah. So, it's not just one-sided. They
And-
actually have to pose both sides of the argument.
Right, and if you read up there where it says, use the information
That's right.
presented in the passage to support your points, make sure to include information from all passages.
Yeah.
So the kids have to refer to all the different pieces in there. And that's
Okay,
kind of
right.
new, because before they could just defend
Right.
one thing. They have to go back and refer to all the different areas.
Okay, so I understand that, but it sounds to me like what you're describing right now is the text-based writing, which is the element in the ELA, not the writing part.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so, are you gonna go back? to
And one of my, I think one of my, and I'm gonna ask John to clarify too as well. One of my thought processes, probably, because I tend to look more at the scoring, is I put it all together in my head. Because in my head, they're scoring reading, writing, language arts, all in one shot. So when they break it out in their classrooms, like I was in Mr. Ware's, and he concentrates on the writing. I was in his room, I don't know, it was a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. And if he said once, he said it 20 times. Take all the arguments. Make sure that you give voice to the argument that you are not supporting. Or that if you're writing it, you put it better. Say it the way you tell the kids.
The way I described it to the kids, I was like, look, imagine you're trying to get the car keys from your mom. You know your mom's going to be concerned about your safety. You know she's going to worry about gasoline. So why not just confront those questions before she asks you, right? I promise. So if you go up to your mom, you say, I promise I won't text and drive. I promise I will fill the tank with gas. I promise that I'll do this. You're giving the counter argument, right? Which is something that they're not used to doing. They're used to doing persuasive essays where they state their argument, but they never address that counter argument. So that's the main thing that they have to focus on with this. And it even says it clearly says it in the thing, focus on the counter argument. Be sure to, if you look the second thing down, it says include a claim, address, counter arguments. It's right there in the prompt.
Counterclaims. Mhm.
Right?
Address
It's the second thing
counterclaims.
down where it says
Yep.
be sure to.
Yep.
So that's something that's new. Also the way it's being scored is new, because they're scoring it on 3 different patterns. It's purpose and organization, it's evidence and
Collaboration.
and then conventions, which is
Convention.
spelling and
Yeah.
grammar and all the sentence structure, all that kind of stuff. So even the scoring on it's different. So, it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to grade it. I think we're getting the hang of it by now, but it's a whole different way that they have to approach that too. They have to look at those 3 features that they need to complete and do correctly.
And then initially, a lot of what we got were drafts. So we got, draft item specs and draft,
Yeah.
we have to take the real test. So then, that all kind of settled in. But I know I was really impressed with that because that was different. Where he was emphasizing to them to almost overemphasize the counter argument so that they got it in. So that they didn't forget to address the counter argument. And then you have to take it from these different sources. And I think this is a test that ultimately is going to be an evolution. This year, the information, there wasn't really a lot of information there. We're trying to teach them to do something completely new. I don't know that you sit down and teach this in 6 months or to mastery. I don't know that you do. I think it's a difficult thing to do. I think that if you have kids that are reading below grade level, they're starting out behind the 8 ball.
So is the effect of this, when they're done with the scoring, because I'm just gonna cut right to the chase,
Yeah,
the same as what would happen if they scored a 1 or 2 in the FCATs?
The impact on the.
we're not sure.
Yes, the impact on the student.
Yeah,
I mean, I got an 8th grader headed to high school.
We're not sure.
Okay, that's.
Because here's a couple of things, okay? First of all, the ELA score is all one score. So now, so it's not that you have writing. Used to be they got a writing score, reading score. I don't know how they're gonna break the scores out. What we know, and teachers, if you've gotten any differently from any of your workshops, jump in, because they go to a lot of, area-specific workshops. The stuff I go to is more global, how to try and figure out the grade, what the cut scores are, all that. So individual subject areas, they're gonna be the experts. But from what we're understanding, the way the schools are gonna be graded is ELA is gonna be one thing, and then learning gains, and then low 25. Used to be reading, score, low 25, learning gains, and then you had that writing. Did they get the 3.5 or not? There's no box for that anymore. So what it is now is ELA, score, percentage of kids passed, percentage of learning gains, percentage of low 25. How the writing is going to impact in there, I haven't, in principal workshops, we haven't gotten we have no breakdown on that. And we have no cut scores on reading, so we don't know how it's going to impact. I don't know if my language arts, my writing teachers have gotten anything different. So the answer is we don't know. However, I think philosophically what we've just continued to do is try to give them the skills that they need, because the test is standards based. So the more standards you master, the better your shot is. And this is what they're telling us is going to be on there. And it's a dilemma. I sit at principals meetings, we look at each other. Oh, no cut scores, really? So how do we sit with the kids and say, you need this? So the way around that, or the way to work that is, here are your standards, you've done this. And then they also have grades. So